Rangers of Shadowdeep, return to SwampLand. We're in the middle of, let me get the white balance fixed there for you. Mission 3, Descent into Darkness, has 3 scenarios, but you play 1, 2, 3, and then you come back to play 2, 1. And so here we are at 2. This is how Joe McCullough wants you to set up the terrain. We're going to try to get as close to the terrain that we set up last time as we can. In our last episode, called The Last Stand, our heroes, we call them the Saturday Morning Specials. They consist of our old friend Thundar the Barbarian, Ariel the Sorceress, Ukla the Mock, and He-Man. We're in Eternia, which has been swallowed up by the Shadowdeep. And we were able to rescue these 4 Eternian citizens. Unfortunately, the men-at-arms that were protecting them died in the Last Stand episode. So we have 4 sacks of experience points that we have to escort off the table. We got a little bit of some logistics we got to take care of here. You will note that we have a clue marker right in front of them. We've actually played this scenario once before. In the last scenario, we were running from south to north. In this one, we're trying to get these guys off the table back to the long stair. So we're going to be running from north to south. I have tried to match the terrain as best I could. There's our heroes. Here's the bottom of the longest stair. Can they make it? Notice I've already dropped 3 clue markers down on the table. I went ahead and rolled the dice. Each of the clue markers has a swamp zombie. Remember that the swamp zombies suffer no ill effects from wandering through the swamp. The little bluish area here is a part of the swamp that is very deep. You have to make swim checks when you move through there. Tried to match the terrain the way we've seen it in the past. And then, by the way, since I am using these 1-inch markers for my clue markers, I rolled a direction to see exactly where the zombies started. Let's go back and look up here. That's why you're seeing one of these clue markers so close to where our heroes are. You're just going to take my word for it. One thing I'll point out. When you recover a clue marker, at the end of the battle, you roll on a chart, and on that chart, there's a chance you recover a signet ring, which is experience points, treasure, or I think like there's some flowers that basically work as a magic potion. If we come up with the same result, that bone blade is given to our hero. He has a +1 when he's fighting undead. Okay, so the sun sword is +1 versus undead. Kind of fitting, right? So we found the sun sword. If we find it again, it's going to be no effect. So there's a chance that one of these clue markers, when we get it off the table, is going to be no effect. Oopsie. It's all right. I think we're about ready to start. We do have our cards, Aloha from Hawaii, already ready to go. I've shuffled them up. Take my word for it. That means because it is the hero's turn, we're going to pick 1 companion that's going to go with us. Actually, we get to move 2, which is nice. Because we're an inch away, we're going to let Ariel move up. Her turn ends, and we are going to find out what that clue marker is. Her action ends, we roll a d20, and on a result of a 19, we find the bone blade, which, as I mentioned, means we have no effect. We can now move another one of our heroes. Well, we can move our ranger, Thundar himself, and one of our heroes. I think we're going to go ahead and try to take out this swamp zombie by bringing Ukla into contact. And if Ukla doesn't succeed in beating that guy, then we have a backup. We can bring our boy with a sun sword in. Ukla charged. He's going to roll a d6. We roll d20s for everybody. Ukla's got a fight skill of, well, let's see. Ukla's going to score. That's a fight of +4 for a total score of 23, from which we subtract the swamp zombie's armor of 12. That's 11 points of damage. Zombies only have 6 hit points. He is going to die. So we'll chalk that up. Doesn't matter who scores the kill. Our heroes will score the same number of experience points regardless. The next thing I'm going to do is bring my boy over. Let's bring him around this way. They can move 6 inches with their first movement. And then on their second move, they can only move 3 inches. We're going to bring them up to here. Basically, I'm trying to draw aggro from our enemies. There's another swamp zombie down here. There's the one over there. They'll move towards whoever they can see. And if they can't see anyone, then the target point is going to be the bottom of the stairs. That's the end of our ranger. Now we have to go with the bad guys. Speaking of which, we've got a little swamp zombie over here. And as I said, he's going to move towards the nearest guy. Swamp zombies have a movement of 4 inches. He will use his second activation to move to there. The other swamp zombie down here in the water is going to come straight over towards our hero. He will wind up there. And then the rest of the heroes get to go. keep our civilians safe, we're going to run them 9 inches, and the furthest guy, he can make it to about there. I'm just going to kind of bring him in a cluster over to here, kind of hiding behind the rocks, and they're hiding behind our ranger, keeping them safe. That's how we do. And then this swamp zombie is within 5 inches of He-Man. So He-Man's going to rush in. Now, he does not have the +1 bonus sword. He has a one-handed sword, so this will be a straight fight versus fight. He-Man is, of course, a barbarian. He's got a fight skill of +4, and then he's just got the hand weapon. The zombie gets no bonus to the blue die. For the red die, we get a +4. So our big boy, 8 + 4 is 12. Subtract the zombie's armor of 12, and you get a result of 0. So he won, which means he can push the zombie away from him 1 inch. And we'll go ahead and do that just because it lets us get a little bit closer to this clue marker. I think that's everybody that's gone now. Indeed, they have. The last order of the phase is to turn over our card to find out what the random event is. I should point out, the first time we played this scenario, because there was a heavy pall of like dangerous environmental schmog, you had to make a wills check or else you're at a minus. I've decided that since these guys have been down here in the Shadowdark for days on end, we're not going to make that check again. They've already gone through it. They're used to the dump. They're going to be fine. That said, let's find out what happens. We get the Red Queen. Checking our chart, the Red Queen, we have an event card of, and we're on SwampLand, Red Queen, Frenzy. Something in the air causes all evil models on the table to go berserk. For the next turn, all evil creatures receive +2 to their fight skill. Right, gotta remember that. +2 to the fight skill. We only have 10 turns to get this done. So I'm gonna grab my turn marker and I'm gonna put it in the middle of the swamp. A little bit of table clutter, it's all right. We are now on turn number 2, and our hero and his companions get to go. I get to try to activate 2 of my companions. I'm going to start by trying to whack this zombie one more time with He-Man. Rolling our bones. He-Man gets a total of 13. The zombie gets 12. Oh, wait a second, but +2 for the frenzy makes this result a 14. My guys are tough. My barbarians do a ferocious amount of damage. They've got really good fight scores, but they've got terrible armor scores. I mean, look at this guy. He went into battle basically dressed like John Carter of Mars. What a lunatic. At least he's got the shield. Point is, He-Man only has an armor of 11. So this 14 minus 11 means He-Man takes 3 points of damage. And he's in a little bit of trouble. That leaves He-Man with 12 hit points. That means we got to bring Ukla into the action. Because Ukla has a buddy helping him out, Ukla is going to be attacking at an additional +2. So it'll be +2 to the blue die, +6 to the red die. 17 is pretty good. 18 means Ukla is going to take a total of... Now, Ukla's even got worse armor. His armor is 10. He's going to take 7 damage, and that's going to put him at just 8 hit points. Oh boy. So what do? Well, we got our ranger has to go now. He's going to run up, and we'll kind of just focus in right there on our right down there in the lower left-hand corner for those of you watching at home or in your car. Oh, God, please don't watch this in your car. All right, this is what we needed. This special symbol is a 20. That means that we do an extra 5 points of damage. This counts as a 25. Well, I mean, we beat it too, so we were going to kill him anyway. But that is one less swamp zombie we have to deal with. The ranger phase is over. The zombies phase goes next. On an even, he's going to attack Ukla. On an odd, he's going to attack He-Man. So on an even, he attacks Ukla. And again, Ukla is going to be at a total of that was a 17. He's going to be at an additional +2. But our zombie's at +2. It doesn't matter because our zombie only rolled a 4 again. That is going to be a result of, it's going to be crazy high. 23 altogether. And then because he's a barbarian and he's super tough, he gets an additional +2 for his damage roll. So it counts as a 25. That may be important later. Either way, 25 minus an armor of... He's only got 6 hit points. So if we beat his armor of... Well, let's see. Armor of 12... minus 25, 13 hit points. He's going to die. Hey, great news, guys. We don't have any enemies on the table. You only start with those 3 enemies. That means that the rest of our heroes get to go. Ariel, over here in the back, and I should point out, the toppled statue costs 3 inches to cross. An extra 3 inches, so actually 4 to go across it. The swamp here can only be crossed by amphibious creatures. Now, that being the case, do we dare risk moving our civilians way out front? We don't know where the bad guys are going to come from. I think you have to. I mean, look how far these guys have to run. We're going to bring Ariel 3 and 6 and then 3. We'll bring her up here to kind of draw some aggro, but you got to hustle these guys because they're just terrible. So 6, and then, boy, I think what we'll do is we'll leave them right in here, kind of cluster them up. We really want to keep them safe. And this way, they've basically, if the bad guys come from right, if we bring them up here, we could put them right here. But if the bad guys appear down here on the bottom of the long stair, then they're just going to jump all over our civilians. They have a fight skill of 0 and like 6 hit points, so they go down pretty easy. I think we're doing good. We got them halfway across the table. It's only the end of turn number 2. Our random event is a red 6, sinkhole. Randomly select 1 hero. Now this is a hero, not like 1 random character, I think. I'm going to let the dice decide. On an even, it's anybody. On its odd, it's only my hero. So it could be anybody. I've got 8 people on the board. I'm going to roll a d8, and we're just going to go right across the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reaching for my stack. I love those even numbers. Oh, you probably couldn't see the guys. 7, 8. The sinkhole affects old He-Man back there. And it says the sinkhole, he's tangled in some underwater vines. Whenever he next activates, he must make a strength roll, toughness number 12, or be unable to move. This continues each turn until the roll is successful. He gets +2 for each friendly figure within 1 inch, but not in combat. All right, great. So we advance our counter to 3. And we activate He-Man way back here. He is at +2 to this roll. He has to make a strength roll with a toughness number of 12. He-Man is a pretty buff dude, so he gets a total of +5 for his strength. It's one of the skills we bought for him. He gets an additional +2 because Ukla is there to help drag him out. So instead of a toughness number of 12, we have a toughness number of 5. And with a result of a 15, he's going to be okay. It says whenever he must make a strength roll, be unable to move. It's a little vague. I'm going to call that one of his actions. So for his second action, he can only move 3 inches. I think that's pretty fair. Then I'm going to activate Ukla. And Ukla is going to run over here, and we're going to score our second clue marker. Once again, we roll a d20, hoping we don't get a 17 to 20. And an 11 is a corpse. You find the corpse of an Laurentian soldier. We find a silver signet ring. Okay, so that signet ring, I'm going to put that up here with our graveyard. I think that's worth extra experience points. We might have found that last time, but we're going to call it, you could have more than 1 ring. I think that's suitable. Then I'm going to bring my boy. He's going to go 4 to here. And here's where things get tricky. Because I have to check the rules for swimming. Whenever he activates while in deep water, oh, wait a second, he didn't activate in deep water, did he? Water does slow you down by half, so he can move 1 inch, right? He had 4, and then that last 2 inches. And then for his second activation, he has to pass a swim check, toughness number 5. If you're wearing heavy armor, you have a -5 to that, toughness number 10. He's not wearing armor, he's not carrying a shield, so it's just a straight roll. And he gets a 5, which is a success. So he's going to be able to activate a second time. His activation ends when he hits the clue marker, and we roll a d20, and we get a 20, and it is another bone blade. So no additional treasure for our boys. Just the signet ring this time around. No flowers, no nothing. That's going to be the end of our ranger phase. We don't have any other enemies on the table, so our companions get to go. And now we have to do the exact same thing for our companions. Our Princess Ariel has not moved yet, so she can move 5 inches and then just jump in the water. And then to move that extra 1.5 inches, she has to pass a swim check. Of course, you'll notice we should give her a +1 because she's already wearing her swimsuit, shouldn't we? But we're not going to do that. She has an armor of, you know what she could do? She can move to here. I didn't think about it. She can stop right here And then she can actually cast her teleport spell, which has a range of 9 inches. And if we draw them back just a little bit, so I can show you them steps, she can teleport to there. And do we stop her right here, or do we just get her off the table? Because once you get off the table, yeah, we're going to get her off the table. So she's safe. We don't have to make it a roll for her. Problem is, if anybody activates on this steps here, if any of the enemies spawn on those steps, they're gonna dogpile her, and we just don't want that. So then we're gonna bring our lady up. So she's gonna move 6. He's gonna move 6. They're all just close enough. They're gonna jump in the water, and then I think we stomp right there. The next activation, they're only gonna be able to move 4.5 inches. Do we want to activate them right now and get them an 1.5 inches closer, or do we wait? We're gonna wait. I think that's a smart play here. The last guy to go is gonna be, let's see. Did these guys activate? They did not, so we can bring them up a total of 9 inches. We're going to bring him, let's see, look, so it's 6 inches to there, and then we get to go another just like that. So everybody jumps in the water. They haven't activated in the water, so they don't have to make that activation roll. We are ready to draw our 3rd event card. With a result of a 4, we get a swamp zombie in a randomly determined corner of the table. We're going to roll a d20. It'll be 1 through 5, 6 through 10, and then, okay? So we'll count up there. So 1 through 5, 6 through 10. So the zombie's going to appear way over there. Oh, I love it. I love it. This one's going to be a lot easier than I expected. He can only move 6 inches a turn, so he moves to right there. And that's going to be, you know what? I should have done that before I did my companion phase, because I could have had Ukla run over there. But it doesn't change anything. He wasn't close enough to get to any of my companions. He could see Ukla where Ukla was. So it doesn't change anything. He's just going to put a little bit more pressure on our boys to get off the table. Advancing our turn counter to turn number 4. We'll put it there so we can see it a little bit better. And we're ready to move on. I got to pick my ranger and 3 companions to go. All right, now we got to roll for some swim checks. I'm going to drag the priest and the good wife. They do not have armor. The blue die is for the priest. So I got a 7 and 16. They're both going to be able to move at half speed, 4.5 inches to there. Well, no, I guess we have to do every time they activate, right? So 3 inches to get to there, and we roll again. We get a 19 and 20, so they can move another 1.5 inches to there. And then our ranger is going to try to go. And he scores a 15, which puts him to here. And then one more time, and a result of a 5 puts him to here. So we got him up, and he's guarding that pathway. The zombie will move 6 inches. 4 is the first one. 6 is the next. He's racing for Ukla. And now we're ready to move on. So I got 2 guys. It'll be blue and red. And blue fails. Red succeeds on this first activation. So blue does not move. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you fail a swim check, yeah, so not only do you not get to go, you're going to take 4 damage. So I'm going to put a little wound die. It's a big wound die next to the guy carrying. And go figure, I'm using some cannoneer guys. I don't know if you can see that. Looks like he's kind of cradling something. He's cradling a cannonball. Maybe you should have left the cannonball back at the farmhouse, guy. This one's on you. So now the last activation is going to be He-Man with the red die, Ukla with the blue die, and the... Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. How silly of me. I must be too late at night. The guy that rolled a 4 failed by 1. He takes 1 hit point. The guy that rolled the 9 succeeded and can move the 4.5 inches. That's important here because Ukla succeeds and moves 3 inches, and then we check again, and with a 10, he moves another 1.5 inches. He-Man over here failed. He actually botched it completely. He takes an additional 4 points of damage with that 1, knocking him down to just 4 hit points. No, he's going to be down to 8 hit points. Ukla also only has 8 hit points. Worse than that, he doesn't get to move this turn. That's the end of turn number 4. This game just got a lot harder, didn't it? Advancing our turn clock to turn number 5. I'm starting to wonder if I should have said it was a breeze. Our card is a 9. Red 9 is place 1 giant fly at the base of the stairway. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The fly appears right here, and now our hero has some very difficult choices to make. It is the Ranger phase. We would really like to use him to heal up one of our companions. The good news is we get the choice of who to activate first. We're going to activate Ukla. If Ukla can get over here and make this fly go squish now, he has to pass a swim check. And with a 14, he does. So he'll be able to get up, and it's just 2 inches to get to the top, and then he's got plenty of movement to come into contact with the fly. Flies are not particularly strong, but we're due for a blown call. The fly gets a total fight score of, let's see, 8 plus nothing is not enough to overcome Ukla's strength. But what it does give us a chance to do is bring, are we within range? It's a 6-inch range. And we are just within range. In fact, I'll use my first activation to come to the very corner here just to make sure that it's clear. We are in range. Our Ranger can cast Heal on He-Man, and that will give him, checking my little handy-dandy character sheet, it's a pretty simple sheet. Heal spell gives you plus 5 hit points. It's got a range of 6 inches, and with that, He-Man goes from 8 up to 13 hit points. I'm feeling a lot better about his chances now. The last companion I'm going to activate is going to be this guy who's hurting over here. That may seem a little weird, but I got to keep him safe. With a 17, he'll finally get to activate the first time, and on his second activation with an 8, so we will be able to bring him up 4.5 inches right next to the priest. And now the enemies get to go. This zombie will stagger 6 inches over to here. Oh, there's our, this is the guy that's missing 1 hit point. And then we have the fly is going to fight Ukla. They get a tie score. Ukla has a fight score. Well, they get a tie die roll, but with Ukla's fight score of +4, he's going to win with a score of 19. +2 for okay. So with Ukla, we treat him as wielding a two-handed weapon. They're really his claws. We just give him a +2 strength bonus, and then all of the penalties of a +2 of handling a two-handed weapon. But thematically, he's just got his big bad claws. Point being, with a result of a 21, the Swamp Fly only has an armor of 6 and 5 hit points. It does go, and that allows us to try to move up our 1, 2, 3. I'm going to roll 3 times, and for every success, the guy will actually get off. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. So we get a score of a 12. You're good. We get a 4. So the good wife goes glug. And the guy that is... wait, he already moved, didn't we? Oh, I'm sorry. The priest is the last one we have to do. And the priest is able to escape to the bottom of the long stair. He's not out of the woods yet. He's just out of the swamp. We still have to get over the... we still have to climb up the long stair. The good wife, remember, she rolled a 4. That means she... did she roll a 4 or a 1? Let me check the instant replay. Yeah, she takes 1 point of damage. The last activation we have is going to be, and I think we may be in a little bit of trouble here, He-Man has to try to swim for it. Now, he's in the water, so we have to try to swim, and I will announce beforehand that we're going to try to swim the 4.5 inches to get to here. I think this swamp zombie is going to be able to reach him. Remember, the swamp zombie automatically swims. They're used to the swamp. It's homey. So at 4.5 inches, we can bring him to right there. And that fortunately, he is at least closest to the zombie. So that when the zombie activates, which is not yet, is it? On the next turn, there's a chance the zombie is going to be able to catch him. That marks the end of this turn, which means we draw another card, and on the red 10, we get a heavy rain starts to fall for the rest of the scenario. Line of sight is reduced to 8 inches. All shooting is at -2. All right, that's good. I like that, because it keeps the enemies off the table. I don't want anybody else spawning, coming down the long stair, down into the Shadowdeep's basement to find out what all the hullabaloo is about. That would be bad news. We are on turn number 6. And, I mean, honestly, we could fail enough swim rolls to make this really awkward. I'm going to try to activate these 2 companions first. I just need to roll a 5 or better. The good wife escapes with 5 hit points. She's going to be fine. And then this last guy standing here all tall and proud, he also escapes. And now our Ranger gets to go. And I'm going to wait until He-Man gets off the board. The Ranger has a couple of spells left to do. He can cast... does he? He does not. Do we leave our companions, or do we think they can get off okay? Oh, you know what I can do? I have the ability. I can activate 3 companions. I'm going to try to activate He-Man. It was like... One of his abilities is call to action. Instead of just the 2 companions, he can activate 3. So Thundar says, He-Man, get your butt out of the water. He-Man rolls and scores a 17. He-Man gets off the table, and that is great news because it means when the Swamp Zombie activates, it's only going to be able to make it to here, and on the companion phase, the last guy, Ukla, is going to be able to escape. But we do have to... Ooh, this could be dangerous. You know, maybe I should leave him on the table. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to play it safe. Ukla's died every time. I draw a 3. And a 3 is place a Swamp Zombie in a randomly determined corner of the table. And I'm not going to do that because it doesn't matter. On turn number 7, our Ranger gets to activate. And he's going to use his first activation to simply escape from the table. Everybody got off. We don't have to make any wound checks. This was a simple run and gun. We got some really fortunate random events that were easily avoided. You know, we had a pitfall open up. We only had a couple of guys come on the table for us. This is a pretty good one. Let's go to the experience table, shall we? All right, I'm not going to do a separate video for this. There's not enough for that. We get 2 experience points for each of those guys that we killed. And 2. So that's 8 experience points for the guys that we killed. Then we get 3 experience points for each hero that got off the table, and that includes our civilians. I'm going to treat them as heroes for now. So if you figure out that we've got, it's 3 points for each of these 8. So that's 24, plus the 8 is 34, plus 5 for the signet ring. That's 39 experience points. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. So 34 experience points. And frankly, this one's pretty easy. There aren't any dice to roll. Our hero has, well, I should say our Ranger has gone to 530 experience points. That puts him at level 5. So we buy some extra skill points. I dumped a couple of points into strength, survival, and then I gave him 1 for swim. It turns out that's kind of a handy skill from time to time. That's it for him. Our companions each get, now not the civilians, we're just trying to get them to safety. They're worth 3 extra experience points if we get them there. They all get an additional 2 progression points, which puts Ariel at 17, Ukla at 14, and He-Man at 15. They will start the Broken Stair with the Stairway, S-T-A-I-R, with full health. That's all I got for you today. Until the Broken Stair, I'm praying for you.